Hi everyone, this is Kim Avila, coordinator of the Virginia Consortium for Teacher Preparation and Vision Impairment here at Mason. And the VI Consortium is a group of 5 Virginia universities that work together to train teachers to work with students who are blind and visually impaired. And because blindness is a low incidence disability in childhood, we have to use a digital education platform so we can reach all of our teacher candidates in Virginia and beyond. So the other aspect that's really important with the VI Consortium is that I make courses very interactive and try to maximize options for hands-on learning. So we have implemented a synchronous learning style for our classes. And currently we use Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. And then we also use Bluejeans to deliver real-time instruction in our classes. And there's so many benefits to this type of platform. Of course, we do reach all of our students in Virginia and beyond, but again, being in the blindness field, which has a limited number of adjunct faculty options and guest speakers, I can bring in top-notch guest lecturers and faculty members from around the country and beyond to deliver presentations or teach a class, which makes it really nice to be able to ensure that my students are getting the best education out there. So I'm going to give you some of the tips that I've learned over the years. These are just a few of them, but they're the types of things that I've come to make sure I integrate into my classes to help them run more smoothly. So the first is that to teach in a synchronous web conference class, you do need to prepare quite a bit in advance. So for my adjunct faculty that I hire, especially since many of them come from out of state, I do find that I spend a lot of time providing mentorship for them, helping them adapt their teaching style, helping them learn how to use our system and make sure the students are fully engaged the entire time. But I also find that I have to do something similar for our teacher candidates in the program as well. So the VI Consortium has a YouTube channel, and it's not uncommon for me to post videos showing them how to use a new technology or a new source that we're using in our classes. In my classes, I do a YouTube video of how I set up Blackboard Collaborate Ultra, how the students log in, because there's a few different ways you can integrate it in your class. So I find that helpful. But one of the biggest planning tools that I have found very, very helpful is to require the students to participate in a technology check the week before classes start. So we'll designate 5 or 6 times where students have to log in at least once before the classes start, and we check their internet connectivity. We also help ensure that all of their plugins and bridges are updated and their hardware and software is working, that their audio is working, their microphone, and that they're not producing an awful echo when they're talking, so nobody leaves the class with a headache. So I really encourage integrating that model as well. It really helps the first day of classes to run more smoothly. We also use that opportunity to talk to our students about policies and professionalism when you're in a synchronous online class. So for example, one of our main policies is our students cannot be driving while participating in class. So they do need to be at their location when class begins and not commuting to it. And that does take some people by surprise, but it's for their safety and also so they can get the most out of the class. I really encourage and hope you all are taking advantage of ATI's services here at Mason. So Christine and Corey are fabulous. They will help you determine if your platforms and the different type of media you're using in your class is accessible. In fact, as soon as I'm done recording this class today, I am going to send the link on over to them and have them caption it. So those are other great services ATI provides. When you're teaching in a synchronous class with people scattered all over the state and beyond, you do need to have multiple backup plans in place. So this last semester, we had a very serious ultra crash. One night in class, it wasn't working at all. So the VI Consortium has backup plans in place, provided that we're given notification that the system is down. So our other backup platform is Bluejeans. So we do have the students get access to Bluejeans, and that's a very easy platform. It has a call-in system, it's simple, and it's a great backup, especially if there's a system-wide outage on Blackboard at Mason. If for some reason there's a major power out or internet failure here in Fairfax, then I do recorded sessions. This has only happened once or twice in the middle of a storm or something like that in all the years I've taught, but I will do recorded sessions. So I will simply use my phone to notify the students of a system-wide outage up here in Fairfax, and that I will have the recorded session posted as soon as everything's back up. I, as the instructor, teach my class. I'm logged in as the instructor, obviously, on Ultra. I also send myself a guest link in Ultra because you can't log in as an instructor on two computers. And I provide that guest link to myself on a second computer sitting right next to me when I'm teaching, and I log in on my second computer. That way, if my primary computer crashes, I'm still connected to my class. I simply inform them I'm switching to instructor mode here. It'll take 30 seconds, and then the other benefit is when I'm doing demonstrations or exhibits in my class, I can see what the students see to make sure it's coming across as I intended it to while I'm teaching from my instructor computer. So I really encourage having those options available, having two computers set up just in case. Ultra also will provide each person with a unique phone number. So if for some reason your audio fails, you can also call in. I encourage students to take note of their Ultra phone numbers as well, just in case their audio is not working or their microphones or whatnot. I record every session I teach through Synchronous because we all know the student's internet for any one person can give out any night. So I want to make sure they can have access to the content before, so they don't lose that information. And so I provide that recording, and then you have to teach the students how to access the recordings. But I also find the recordings helpful for the legitimate cases where students really do have to miss a class, or for our students who have the accommodation of recording classes. It's very helpful. But for me as an instructor, I've also found it very helpful when you have a student who says, well, we didn't cover this topic in this class, and you can point them right back to the recording where, in fact, the class did cover it. My goal in my classes is to make sure that I have the students do more than just log in, because we all know people log in, they start cleaning out their email, going on social media or whatnot. My goal is to make sure that they're actively engaged. And so my rule of thumb with that, if I feel like I'm talking to myself, that tells me I'm not integrating their feedback enough. So I try to do multiple options each night to get the students engaged. And for example, at each class that I teach, the students earn participation points. And to get the participation points, they have to be logged in the entire time, obviously, but then they have to respond to whatever it is that I bring up that night for them to respond to. Sometimes it's multiple prompts, journal entries, surveys, chat box. We do group work extensively. I establish peer review groups for some of our case studies that they work on in class. So they have to participate. I also use the polling function in class as well. The really nice thing about polling in the Ultra environment is that you can look to see who's responding, who's getting the poll questions correct, if it's a right or wrong answer. But you can also see if you've asked 4 or 5 polling questions one night and somebody's not responding at all, you can really, question, are they participating or not? So my polling questions, I like to ask opinion questions, how comfortable people are with certain laws or maybe an intervention procedure or a technology. And I ask yes/no questions. And in my more technical classes, like my advanced Braille class, I'll teach them a concept, like here this night, I would have taught them how to Braille a fraction. And this is not a multiple choice test. This is simply formative assessment for me to know how people are comprehending it. And then I tell them to, choose which option is the correctly brailled. I do also provide an option 5 in my polling, which means I'm not sure or I don't know. I do want my students to tell me when they're not sure about something so I can go back and determine where they're not sure. So really, really fantastic way to get some very quick data on how your students are perceiving the information, and also to check how responsive they are. I also really integrate a lot of methods for connecting with my students. So it's not uncommon for me to meet with them virtually and to discuss field assignments and so on. But I also like to take a lot of video data from my teacher candidates. So I'm not in a classroom with them. I can't just go around the room and check off that they know how to use something like their Perkins Braillers. I do have them make how-to videos. I have them send them to me through Blackboard so I can check that competency and make sure that they are fully competent with the device. So that is something that I really encourage. I found it helpful to document how my students are doing since I cannot check that off in person. And it's not uncommon also for us to use, I mean, even the phone, of course. I try to really connect with my students on multiple levels since they only come to campus for one class now. My final three little tips here are first off, collaboration. So almost all of the VI programs in the country have moved to a model similar to what we use, or they're fully in a digital distance education type model. And I collaborate with several of these universities extensively because as a faculty of one, I need to have multiple resources to make sure my classes are meaningful for my students. It's not uncommon for maybe the university or whoever to come and say, we're switching our technology platforms just a few days or a week before classes start. So just be prepared for that. You need to know how to teach yourself and then turn around and teach your students. Additionally, this may not surprise you, but your students are going to see you as an instructor and as the class tech support. So I frequently get the emails from my students that really should be going to it@gmu.edu, but they are going to ask you a lot of tech questions throughout this process. And in most cases, you may not have tech support with you to help them work through any issues. That is, again, why I really strongly encourage using the tech checks the week before classes start so the students can make sure that they're logging in smoothly without any problems, and then to work out any issues that come up. So thank you so much for having me speak to you through this recording. Feel free to send me any questions or suggestions or comments. Thank you.